Hey, little kid, let me tell you about the old railroads.
Nah.
It all started with...
And after learning from him, I decided to make this video and tell you about the railroads, starting with the 4 original guys.
Leland Stanford, the leader, CPR president and founder of Stanford University. Colin Porter Huntington, vice president of CPR. Matt Hopkins, treasurer of CPR. Charles Crocker, construction supervisor. Together, they made the Big Four. These men were the businessmen of the
Central Pacific Railroad and the Union Pacific Railroad were both important. They were both tried to meet in the middle of the country and lay down the most track. Then he told me about the Pacific Railroad Act of 1862, where the government gave them land grants and government bonds just so they could use the railroads for their own use, like postal service.
Easy trade for CPR and government.
Now for the Chinese and Irish workers. Here you can see the workers of the railroad, Chinese men and Irish men. They worked very, very long and very, very hard all the time. They often worked full weeks. Yes, they worked every single day of the week, and with extremely tough labor. Imagine this for 18 hours straight, at least. Now, Chinese men got very little pay, considering that they weren't white, but Irish men, weirdly enough, received only a little bit more. For some reason, they just weren't seen as full whites. We can only try and tell now, but look at the extreme fatigue that's going on here. Worst of all, they didn't even get to ride the railroads. What you see here is basically the sleeping conditions for Chinese and Irish men. They had to sleep in cold, hard cellars. After a long day's work, that didn't exactly work. These guys had the hardest lives. Oftentimes, there were rebellions. There was even a large strike put together by Chinese men for more money. But really, only a little more money was all there was needed to stop it. I mean, just look at that. They're really fighting for it there. Standardized timekeeping. The railroad caused us to make different time zones, so that way they could base it off arrivals and departures. That way you would know what time your train is coming at any place. This is why we have it 3 o'clock on the West Coast and maybe 6 o'clock on the East Coast. Sometimes you go from some place where it was sleeping to some place where it was all sunny. You'd know what time the train is coming either way. Let's take a minute here to focus on the steam locomotive itself. Yeah, the one the Big Four loved. They praised it. You see, without it, we would have gotten places real slow, like this slow. There's no way we could have made it anywhere in time without our train systems, because without trains there would have been no cars to evolve. I mean, just look at this. This is slow as ever. This should never be happening. The steam locomotive was great. Now how about this fast? What about maybe this fast? Even faster? Well, you see, what the railroad did is it made us everything faster, which is something that's still going on today. We have to thank it for all of it. It brought us into this brand new world and brand new thing that we could do and prosper from. All from the firebox burning. And that's what the railroads did. They brought us even further as a country and as a continent. I mean, after all, where'd you think that cell phone came from? Thanks, railroads.
Hey, my name is Bob.